Welcome to Youth Pod. I'm your host Francis Ngalen. Today we are going to talk about alcoholism and substance abuse among the young people. Bearing in mind that alcoholism consumption among the young people remains the biggest challenge that confronts Kenya today. This is because alcohol is legal in Kenya and readily available and most widely used recreational substance among the young people. It's high among them and it cuts across class and locality, income and taste, and is customized to fit the target consumer. So in other words, our youth appear to be in dire need of help and a comprehensive assistance that will help them pull out from ruin. So to steer this conversation forward, I'm joined by two gentlemen, and one is a youth addiction counselor. Thanks, Mr. Evans, for coming.
Thank you.
And from my far right, I'm joined by a recovering addict, Mr. Muchiri. Thanks for coming and making time for Youth Pad. So before we continue, Mr. Evans, I want to start with you.
Okay.
We're talking about alcoholism consumption and also substance abuse among the young people. Let's clarify things here.
Okay.
When I say substance abuse, what do we mean by substance abuse?
Substance abuse generally, you can look at it differently, or it's defined differently. But when you talk about substance abuse, three things comes into mind. One is the manner of use. Two is the amount you are using. And then three is the situations through which you are using the substance. So substance use can be defined as the manner, the amount, or the situation that of use that increases the chances of an individual getting problems as a result of their use.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've just talking about this concept of use, misuse, and abuse.
Yeah.
Can you just take us a little bit about that? What do you mean?
When we talk about use, generally substances, legal substances like alcohol, are accepted, and generally everybody will want to use. But when we talk about misuse, it can be either legal or illegal substance, prescription substances, but using in a manner that is not prescribed by a physician, or using substance in a manner that is not meant for. So say so is misusing substance. When we talk about substance abuse again, we can look at the law. For instance, there are some drugs which are prohibited, something like cannabis, cocaine, heroin. Those are illegal drugs. Okay. So if someone is using substance that is not allowed by the law of the land, then we can say substance abuse. Then there is a question of underage, because we know that there are children who are underage. They are not allowed to be using substances, even those that are legal, like alcohol. So when an underage is using substance, can still be defined as substance abuse according to the law of the land.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me come to you. You are a recovering addict, which is great. And also, can you just share a little bit about your story? And hopefully I know it will talk to someone out there. In terms of when did you start consuming alcohol, at what age, and what sort of drugs were you using by then?
Okay, I'm Kelvin Muchiri, recovering alcoholic. That is because when you start using alcohol, you never recover from alcoholism. Okay, I started consuming alcohol back in high school. I was very young then, maybe Form 2, Form 3. We used to chang up pesa for the drinks. We buy one, we share like 5 guys. That is because of the environment I grew up with. All successful people in the community have to be seen taking alcohol. So you have to be anxious to get to 18 so that you can start using alcohol. But because we were mischievous, we used to sneak in and maybe secure some little cash and buy alcohol. Yeah, and then it graduated from there. When I completed high school, I was regarded as a big man. I could even join the others in the bars. So the consumption rate increased. It escalated more when I joined the university, because there I had freedom, and there was no one to supervise me. So it was me and my money and all the time I have. It went to the wars when we started campaigning in universities. You could consume anything just to be high. You are at uko katikati ya semester and you don't have cash, so you have to go for the cheapest liquor to be high. Kumi kumi, the kegs, and the makalis, eh? So then after high school, because I was studying maybe a difficult course in quotes, eh? So we used to say that every weekend, every Friday is a day to format the head. Yeah, I was studying civil engineering, so Friday was a day to format the head. After doing maybe cards, hard questions, calculus, or survey, so we say it became a habit that we started drinking once per week. We found ourselves drinking the whole weekend, and maybe in the maybe second third year we used to, and as you continue being familiar with the university, the way teachers the way lecturers behave, we started consuming almost daily. So that's when I sank into the dependency of alcohol. Then it grew even to worse. It was worse now in university. It grew to worse when I finished. I completed my campus education, and I started tamaking for a job, and it became hard for me to my expectations. I thought, but because you are doing a hard course in quotes, you will get a job like immediately. So when the frustrations of getting a job started crippling in, and you are at the village, you are with everybody, you start any inferiority complex start building in yourself. So I started drinking myself silly, because okay, it's not an insult, but you see the guys who you left maybe in primary school, and they did not manage to go to further their education. They have more money than you, because the guys are farmers. The guys are even can even manage to buy themselves. Maybe they are self-employed. They are in border sector. Some are drivers. Some are farmers. They make almost.
So they used to offer you some money so that you can buy alcohol.
And a lot of intimidation. Like you are in the bar and then give the engineer. What is the engineer taking? He's just taking a glass of keg. Give me a jug. I'm a 2 jugs. You see, that's intimidation. So you start drinking to fight the depression, not the stress. And then after that, the stress builds to depression. You start seeing as if everybody hates you around. You start seeing as if everybody is undermining you, because you see that you have papers at home and you can't find jobs. You can't even raise money for your credit. You have to depend on someone. Then that builds depression.
So at what point that you realized that you were afflicted by alcoholism and that you needed change?
Actually, I did not realize.
I mean, you realized that you're afflicted by alcoholism, and that you had crossed that line of social binging to alcoholism.
Yeah, you realize that alcohol has taken over your life when people around you start complaining. Like when my mom started complaining a lot. Okay, I'm married. My wife started even calling my parents to tell them that Muchiri nowadays is drinking a lot, and he has become very violent. He has become very untidy. He is just vomiting. He's not eating. Then at that time you think that people like, I'm not using your money, I'm using my money to buy myself alcohol. Why should you be concerned? You start thinking that people don't like you. So but at the end of the day, no alcoholic shall know that they are alcoholic until they get it from outside. So when my advice to the young people, the youth, when your friends start distancing themselves from you, your parents start telling you
that's
that
why you realize that
drinking.
you are afflicted by alcoholism.
Yeah, just know they don't hate you. Just know that alcohol has taken over you.
Evans, this comes to you. So does it mean that when I binge drink on every Saturday and Sunday, but I don't touch alcohol during the week, does that make me alcoholic? What's your take on that?
Yeah, alcoholism is a complex disease, and it manifests itself in different patterns. So there are no specific patterns to say that when someone is behaving like this is alcoholic. When they're behaving like that's not an alcoholic. Binge drinking itself is an abnormality, and a binge drinker is actually a problematic drinker. A binge drinker is at a higher risk as opposed to someone who's drinking daily, because a binge drinker will actually drink all the amount that an individual has been drinking on a week, on a day. So that causes a lot of effect on their brain and also on the body. So a binge drinker is at a higher risk of developing other complicated medical conditions as opposed to just being an alcoholic. So because a binge drinker is able to function during the weekend, as in weekdays, they can be convinced that they don't have a problem, because they will say, oh, of course I go to work, I do my work, I only drink when I have freedom. But generally the binge drinking will cause more harm, and it reach a time where this individual will not be able even to function at all. So it's actually a sign that there is a problem. Yeah.
So can you get addicted even though you're taking it once?
Addiction is not manifested by daily drinking. Addiction is manifested by a chain of drinking. For instance, someone who is addicted to alcohol or any other drug can even stay clean for a week, a month or something. But when they start drinking, we say the difference between an alcoholic and an non-alcoholic is how the alcoholic's body responds to alcohol. When an alcoholic drinks, everybody will know, even if they have drunk only once.
Okay.
Yeah, the way the body and the mind abnormally responds to substance, either by them extending the use, drinking more than is intended, or just behaving in a manner that shows, as in acting out in a manner that shows that there's a problem. So they will act out. Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about addiction, can someone be too young to get addicted to alcohol and drugs?
I don't think so, because with the experience that I have, the youngest case we have dealt with an addiction problem was 9-year-old. So if a 9-year-old can be addicted to a point where they are taken to rehab, then that means there's nobody who's young to be addicted. And the results that were released by NACADA just a few months ago showed that at least from standard 2, the children are getting access to substances. So that means anybody can be addicted at any time. The younger you are, the more vulnerable you are to be addicted to, because the brain is very young and you're exposing it to chemical substances. Yeah.
Muchiri, coming to talking about, do you remember some of the pitfalls, some of your darker moments that were consumed by alcohol, and talking about how long have you been sober?
Okay, I thank God. I thank my higher power that I've been sober for the past 8 months, taking a day at a time. That's what we call in AA. Okay, of course, it was my counselor. We call it the 12 steps and AA. Okay, I remember before I started practicing AA. I had very ugly sins, some very ugly sins, like. There is a time I even fought with my friends in bars, just for nothing, just small issues, but you can't solve them as a sober person because you are intoxicated. Like I even did not respect my parents. Sometimes I could even vomit in front of the children, you see. And okay, there are very many pitfalls. You are disrespectful to your elders. You are drunk at noon on a Sunday at noon, and you are very drunk, and the parents, the other parents of the other children, they expect in the community, they expect you to be a role model to their children because maybe you are educated, and not a big percent at our place go past high school. So now I know I discourage many parents to take their children to high school or even university because of my behavior. Sasa kama hiyo ndio mambo ya watu wa university, sieri wangu akae tu nyumbani elime. So I don't blame myself, but I had very nasty experiences But like you wake up in the morning, you find that you have bruises, you have a running nose, you you fought someone you don't remember.
And where were your parents during this time, your parents and family during all this time that you were consuming alcohol?
Yeah, actually, I thank my mom because she has been there all through for me and my wife, because they used to receive all those negativity I used to do. There were some other friends of my mom, who used to tell her that your son is drinking a lot, but at least she was not that negative to me. She still, I believe, she prayed a lot for me, and she even tried to guide me, but I saw as if she was bothering me. Yeah, okay, that's okay. At the end of the day, that's when they came together as a family and convinced me to go to rehab. But before I joined rehab, I thought I was the one. They were just bothering me. I'm drinking alcohol. Everybody else is drinking. Why me? Yeah, it was not that easy. Yeah, it is not easy for me. It was not easy for me to accept that I'm actually an addict. Because I remember there's even a time my uncle had to drive all the way from Nairobi to come at home and try to sweet talk me to stop drinking. I tried to try not to drink, but it was not possible. I could try for 2 or 3 days, and then I find myself drinking.
So it wasn't easy.
It was not easy until you get a professional who can guide you. For now, yeah.
Do you think the parents are getting it wrong in terms of addressing the issue to the young people? What are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to pay so much attention to the issue or to the young kids and boys who are just in this mess? So what are they supposed to do?
It always catches parents with surprise. Of course, no parent will want to hear that their child, their son or their daughter is using drugs or something like that. And it catches a parent with an element of surprise when that message comes to them. And in most circumstances, they are usually in a state of confusion. From my experience, most parents are not aware of what to do once such thing comes to them. And so some of them might find themselves acting out, reacting to the problem, because one, you have been given a message that you are not expecting. The message itself is shocking, and you can't accept it. So what will happen? You will start acting out and reacting to the problem. The reactions have causes more harm than good. Some parent might react by being rigid or creating rigid rules or something like that, or just being tough on the child. But the child is already sick. No matter how tough you become or what you try or take them to police, it's not going to work because the person is already affected, is sick. So the attempts, the what they put into place at that time is usually to try and prevent the issue that has been brought. But by trying to do that, the issue gets more worse because the means they use to control the problem are usually not friendly. So you find that the problem, instead of the problem being handled, is being made worse, actually, with the time.
Yeah, okay, as a recovering alcoholic, okay, the first step the people I live with, that is my mom and my wife, did when they realized that I'm over drinking. Okay, they started cutting their links to the money I receive. But that did not solve it, because at the end of the day, because maybe last week or last month I went to a bar and bought someone beer. Today when I go broke, they'll buy me. So I will just recommend or suggest to the community, because we have been crying to the government a lot, to the community, maybe churches. Let us start these things, counseling. Let us start.
Are they supposed to pay so much attention to the issue?
Yeah, let them accept that people are ignorant people are ignorant about alcohol and drug abuse. Let us start from the church. Let us start training people how they should treat alcoholics and other drug abusers. Because when you beat up your child because he came home drunk, tomorrow that does not stop them from taking the alcohol. Like me, before I went to a professional place where I could be guided out of alcoholism, I could face maybe sanctions at my place. Like today, tukufunguli mlango, I go just find somewhere else to sleep. Like today, we are not giving you the bonuses. Today, you will not come to our party. We don't want to see him here. You see, so that did not stop me from drinking. I'll go to another place, find maybe cheaper liquor, maybe make new friends in the bars. But when I first joined a rehab, and I was guided on how I could resist alcohol, the craving, that's when I started recovering a day at a time. Though that's the only solution, professional guidance.
Mr. Evans,
Yes.
when are young people, young persons likely to engage themselves to drugs? At what age and at what stage in life?
Yeah, we are living in a world that is currently exposed, social media world, and with social media, the children get access to the social networks, and then they are able to get information about these substances and any other information. Now, we also understand that when you look at the economy and how life is, there's no parenting. Let me say like that. There's no parenting, nurturing of the children. So children are not given information about how they should do things, what they should do, what they should not do. Instead, the children are being taken care of by either the other peers or by the social media, and they get access to this information on their own, and so they start practicing. The parent is also not there to monitor that what their child is doing, because they come home late, they leave very early in the morning, so they just don't know. What they're just doing is financing the child for maybe in school or something like that. They do not even say, okay, we went to school, do you have assignment or something like that? The parents just satisfied with looking for money, financing schooling and everything, but the child is not being taken care of. Nurturing is not there, and so as a result of that, teenagers have been predisposed to substance use, because as we talk now, there is a lot of peddling going on in schools. The drug sellers, the peddlers, are targeting young people because they want the market to be there, of course. And when you are targeting the long-term market, then you need to, if a child can be addicted at a lower age, then you'll be having a long-term customer, something like that. Yeah. So they are going to go to the grassroots, where they are going to predispose these young people to substance, so that they'll be opening up the market. And remember, if a child gets access to the substance, the peddler, yes, he is also advised to introduce their friend, because they are bonus when you introduce your friend. So a friend introducing a friend, a friend introducing a friend, so you discover that this is going to be a menace. It's already a menace, and any age can get access to substance, as opposed to before, where people will get this information at certain age. Yeah.
Okay guys, let's have a short break. We're going to be back with my guest, who will be sharing the stories and also giving us advice on how we can get out from that mess of alcoholism.